It's extremism that's the problem, and Twitter amplifies that. I think that extremism is threatening everything, and people are liars, and they pretend it's because of what you're saying, but really they just don't want to hear it because you're not on the right side. There's so much hypocrisy and lies, and the more you tell a lie, some people believe it, and that is like the new politics. Lie enough till people believe it, and it becomes a truth.
Ricky Jay takes no prisoners and absolutely obliterates Keir Starmer with jokes so savage they'd make a dragon jealous. If you thought politics was dull, think again. This roast feels like watching a lion toy with a painfully stiff office chair. Get ready to see Starmer hilariously dismantled by Gervais's razor-sharp wit. Stick around, because this comedic showdown is a wild, unforgettable ride you definitely won't want to miss.
Don't get political, but they're all... When are we going to stop taking went to Eton as a qualification to run the country? I mean, now.
First off, let's get one thing straight. Keir Starmer entered British politics like the human embodiment of beige wallpaper. You know the type: safe, neutral and mind-numbingly boring. There was a time when people hoped he'd add some flavour to the political stew. Maybe a dash of charisma, a splash of vision, or at least a hint of boldness. Instead, it turned out to be more like adding a pinch of salt to boiling water, technically seasoning, but barely noticeable. Not exactly the spark anyone was craving.
The news now, with these parties that the government, the people in charge were breaking the rules, having these parties in their lovely gardens. I think I've been naive all my life. It's not till now I just go, why do we trust them? Of course we shouldn't trust the people in charge. That's how they're in charge. They shouldn't be trusted.
Remember that flicker of hope? Like when you grab a new fancy snack expecting fireworks, only to discover it tastes suspiciously like plain bread. That's Keir Starmer's leadership in a nutshell, promising excitement but serving up beige, and more beige. The kind of beige that makes you question whether the paint matches the carpet or if you just stopped caring altogether.
We've got the mandate. I mean, we've just won by huge numbers the local elections, the mayoral elections. I think we got more than twice as many votes as were cast for Labour. So, of course, Starmer's panicking, he's terrified. It's quite funny. In the Commons now, he looks at Nigel and I as much as he looks at Kemi, and he looks really anxious. What are we doing? When are we laughing? What are we saying? And look, he's right to say we are effectively the real opposition.
For a man who campaigned on change and competence, the reality has been more like watching paint dry, except the paint is cracked, peeling, and someone keeps promising to fix it soon. Months into Keir Starmer's leadership, the UK feels trapped in an endless rerun of a terrible sitcom. The punchlines are stale, the laugh track's broken, and the plot twists painfully predictable. Inflation plays the villain, tax hikes are the unwanted comic relief, and the audience, the British public, sits clutching their heating bills, praying for the credits to roll.
Over as PM, I wouldn't do anything in politics. Wouldn't do anything close to it. Thankless, horrible. I'd be rubbish at it, I'd be angry, I'd piss people off, I'd say the wrong thing, I'd go, forget it, do what you want. I was trying to help you, amongst yourselves. No, that. No. And I wouldn't want to take a pay cut. I wouldn't want to move to a smaller house.
And Ricky Jay, he's the guy in the back row laughing so hard at the absurdity of it all that he's nearly crying. Because if it weren't so tragic, it would be hilarious. It's like a circus where the clowns forgot their lines, the lions got loose, and the trapeze artist never showed up. Yet somehow, the show must go on. Ricky's laughter isn't just mockery. It's a spotlight on the farce of a government that promised stability but delivered chaos wrapped in beige. He sees it all. The hollow promises, the limp policies, the endless backpedaling, and knows the only way to cope is to laugh before you start crying.
One of the worst prime ministers we've ever had, and he's only been with us 81 days. But look what he's done in those 81 days. He's allowed the Chancellor to go ahead with a scheme where 4,000 pensioners could freeze to death this winter. And those are Labour figures, by the way, not Tory figures, OK. He's introduced a raft of policies like energy, which could make us dependent on overseas energy ad infinitum, so dictators around the world will control.
Everyday Brits are standing at the supermarket checkout, watching their carefully planned grocery baskets shrink faster than a wool sweater in a hot wash. And let's talk about taxes, because nothing says helping working families like quietly hiking national insurance contributions and tossing in council tax increases just to spice things up. It's like being told, we want to ease your burden, right before someone loads your backpack with bricks labelled more tax and inflation. It's a surreal balancing act that wouldn't look out of place in a circus tent. Except here, the clown is Keir Starmer, juggling the nation's financial misery with a smile so stiff it could have been carved from stone. Meanwhile, inflation, that stubborn, uninvited beast, continues to mock every policy announcement like a squatter who refuses to pay rent. Prices are climbing so fast that buying a loaf of bread feels like entering a high-stakes auction, with everyone desperately bidding for basic survival. Starmer's grand promises of economic competence now resemble a sketch from a farcical play, while Ricky Jay sits in the back row, shaking his head, wondering if this is some kind of elaborate prank and waiting for a punchline that never comes.
Is the in charge, do what they want. And you know what, I can, you know, I see all these people saying all the parties they were having and what all the stuff they were doing, and people saying, you know, that was the day I couldn't see my mum in hospital, or I couldn't go to my dad's funeral, and because the people in charge, the posh, privileged people in charge, were acting like Charlie shit.
You know it's bad when even the idea of helping the economy becomes the punchline. People can't afford essentials, businesses are getting crushed under rising costs, and somehow Keir Starmer's government still believes that tweaking tax rates ever so slightly and calling it strategy will fix everything. It's like trying to put out a raging house fire with a water pistol, adorable but utterly useless. Ricky Jay would probably say it's the kind of thing that makes you laugh in disbelief, because crying would just be too exhausting. Now slide over to the immigration front, where the situation is somehow even more hilariously tragic. The Channel crossings have become the political equivalent of a bad joke with no punchline, and Starmer's team looks completely lost, still trying to figure out what the setup was. Boats keep arriving, carrying people seeking refuge, safety, or simply a better life, and the government's response? Picture a group of officials playing an endless game of bureaucratic hot potato, passing responsibility from one department to another while the waves keep lapping at the shore. The public is frustrated, asylum processing moves with the urgency of a snail on vacation, and resources are stretched thinner than the plot of a reality TV show. Meanwhile, Starmer's team treats the whole crisis with the kind of detachment usually reserved for pretending you can't hear a mosquito buzzing in your bedroom. And Ricky Jay would have a field day pointing out how the government's handling of immigration feels like watching someone try to organise a flash mob when no one shows up, and nobody knows the dance steps.
We are in the world, but we've had a terrible year. I don't want to be that bloke that complains, but it's been shit. And people say, oh, it's good for the farmers. They need a bit of sunshine too, though, don't they? It's not, they don't just want 6 months of rain. What are they farming? Mould. I'm a mould.
But this isn't just about immigration numbers or border logistics. The chaos spills directly into bigger worries: law, order, and public safety. A goldmine for Ricky Jay's sharp tongue. Crime rates are creeping up, emergency services are stretched thin, and public concern is piling up like unopened bills on the kitchen counter, ignored until they can't be anymore. Keir Starmer's government, with its cautious tone and painfully measured responses, looks less like a team in control and more like a sitcom character hiding behind the sofa, hoping the problem just goes away. Ricky's humour slices right through the illusion, exposing a government that talks about a steady hand but can barely hold the cup without spilling it. It's not stability, it's a trembling grip on a boiling teacup seconds from disaster. So between the economic squeeze making daily life a grind and the immigration crisis turning into a bureaucratic farce, Starmer's much hyped promise of competent leadership now sounds less like policy and more like the setup to a very long, painfully unfunny joke.
Be talking about cancelling the Prime Minister, shouldn't we, really? This is the sort of thing, and I'm making a bit of a joke of it, but it's actually a very close line to being serious. This is the kind of thing that got people put in jail back in July. That there has been this astonishing inversion of language. Now, the question is, what does it actually mean? If it means anything.
And like all great jokes, Ricky Jay is there to remind us that sometimes the punchline isn't about laughing, it's about wondering how things got this ridiculous in the first place. Meanwhile, Keir Starmer stands there with his trademark stiff smile, seemingly convinced that calmness can somehow camouflage chaos. But if Ricky Jay has taught us anything, it's that you can't fake funny, and you can't fake leadership either. The UK deserves better than tax hikes disguised as help, inflation that laughs in the face of policy, and immigration plans so confused they'd send a GPs into meltdown. That's exactly what Ricky's roasting. The spectacular slow-motion comedy of a government trying and failing to get a grip. And honestly, it's hard to argue with him, because when leadership becomes the punchline, all that's left to do is laugh. On one hand, Starmer preaches fiscal responsibility. On the other, he quietly lets national insurance and council taxes rise. Because apparently squeezing the average citizen dry is the new version of caring. It's like being told you're on a diet only to be handed a triple chocolate cake and reassured, "Go on, just one bite." Except that bite turns into a mouthful of pure economic pain.
Hi guys, Ricky G here, wellness and beauty influencer. As a celebrity, I know all about stuff, like science and politics. So trust me when I tell you who you should vote for. If you don't vote the right way, that's like a hate crime, and it makes me sad and angry, and I'll leave the country.
Meanwhile, the cost of living isn't just rising, it's climbing Mount Everest in flip-flops. Energy bills are through the roof, heating homes like overpriced saunas, while Keir Starmer's government plays a long, slow game of wait and see. Spoiler alert, nobody's winning. The idea that leadership can just sip tea while the nation's energy costs spiral out of control, that's comedy gold. Except this isn't a comedy, it's a catastrophe. Ricky Jay would have a field day with the disconnect between Starmer's calm demeanour and the chaos everyone else is living through. And of course, there's the immigration crisis. Because what's a political tenure without a little border chaos? Ricky Jay would probably compare Starmer's handling of it to someone trying to build a sandcastle during high tide. The efforts are there, sure, but the waves of reality keep washing it all away. Public services are strained, communities are frustrated, and the country is stuck debating what now, while the government stands by, shuffling paperwork and pretending progress is being made. And let's not forget Starmer's leadership style. The man who markets himself as the steady hand, the mild-mannered Prime Minister who somehow turns indecision into performance art. If politics were a sport, Keir Starmer would be the player who always passes sideways, never taking the shot. Meanwhile, Ricky Jay's brand of fearless honesty feels like a slap of cold water, a wake-up call to a nation starved for real leadership. Because when the country needs bold decisions, Starmer offers more steady and less strategy. It's like showing up to a knife fight with a butter knife and hoping your charm will save you. Through it all, Ricky's comedy shines a blinding light on the absurdity. No sugarcoating, no soft punches, just cold truth wrapped in biting humour. Because if the people in charge won't face reality, at least the comedians will. At the end of the day, this isn't just a roast, it's a reminder that leadership isn't about looking good on camera or saying the right things in interviews. It's about taking risks, making hard calls, and actually fixing problems. And if Ricky Jay can make us laugh while exposing the failures, maybe, just maybe, we'll start demanding better, because right now, Starmer's Britain feels less like a country moving forward and more like a sitcom stuck on the same bad punchline. So yes, Ricky Jay destroyed Keir Starmer, but it's not just about the laughs. It's about holding a mirror up to the UK's political mess and realising the joke's gone on far too long.